Welcome to the Rock Interview Series with host Thomas S. Orwatt Jr.
Welcome to episode number 72 of the Rock Interview Series. I'm Thomas Orwatt Jr. It's April 5th, 2023, and for this feature, I have Brian Wheat, bass player and co-founder of the multi-platinum selling band Tesla, as my special guest. During this interview, Brian talks about Tesla's current Time to Rock tour, his move to Auburn, New York, the status of original drummer Troy Luccketta, working with Phil Collen of Leppard on the last Tesla studio record Shock, his ultimate lineup for a stadium tour, and much, much more. So here he is, Brian Wheat. Before we get started, please subscribe to the Rock Interview Series. Hey everyone, welcome to the Rock Interview Series. We have a great special episode today. We have Brian Wheat, bass player, founding member of the band Tesla, with us today. Brian, thank you for taking the time to talk to us. You did a Las Vegas residency recently, and it looked like the coolest place in the world to see a show. How was it playing all those shows in one venue in front of all those sold-out audiences?
It was great. Historically, we go in and we play one show in Vegas every 2 years. So to go in and do 5 shows and sell them all out, and then have them add another 5 at the end of the year, because it did so well, was really great. And it was a big boost for the band and a lot of excitement around it. So it was real good.
Yeah, I watched the video footage from some of those shows, and the band was absolutely on fire. Did you enjoy the fact that you could play it in one place for multiple nights like that and not have to get on the bus and travel?
Yes and no. I mean, yes, but no, because when you're on a bus and you travel like that, you get into kind of a routine and a groove. And, it kind of threw us off a little bit, but we got used to it quickly. So it was 50-50, Part of me liked not being, on a bus, and part of me, needed it because it's kind of been my routine for 40 years.
You will be playing near me in Niagara Falls, New York.
Yeah, coming
yes,
up
on April 15th. It's a Saturday night. It's definitely the place to be. What memories do you have of playing in the Western New York area, in Buffalo and Rochester and that?
Well, we've always played Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse. Last year we played up by me at the Lago Casino, which is like, the next town over. And the crowds are always great. We played Weedsport back in the day, when they used to have the raceway out there. That was exciting. So we've always played up here, and the crowds have always been great. They always been really enthusiastic, and they know the songs. So the radio stations up here, have historically played Tesla, and the classic rock stations still do. So it's been great up here. And,
Yeah.
Are you coming to the gig at Niagara?
Oh, I'll definitely be there. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Gig,
Yeah, you mentioned Weedsport, New York. That was one of my favorite gigs I've ever been to in my life. It was 1990. You opened for Motley Crue on their Dr. Feelgood tour in Weedsport, and that was such an amazing night. Do you remember anything in particular about that performance?
I just remember that we were really good, and
Yeah, you were.
And the funny story is, my best friend here, and now since I live in Auburn, him and his wife, they're about 10 years younger than me, and they were at the gig as kids, and now they're my pals. They're like, we saw you in Weedsport, like, oh yeah, sure. It was cool. It was an old racetrack, and the kids were going crazy back then. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it absolutely was. Like I said, one of my favorite concert memories. Now you moved from California to, like you said before, New York, and you're Dunkin'
This is
Donuts.
what happens when you move to the East Coast.
There you go. Right. There's also Tim Hortons also, which has great coffee.
I'm a Dunkin' Donuts guy, but
you are.
Go ahead, man. Sorry, I kind of just woke up because I've been building a new studio, and I didn't go to sleep until 12 o'clock this afternoon.
Wow.
So I was just amped. I couldn't sleep, and I maybe had too many coffees, so I'm a little bit all over the place. But that's kind of me. I'll jump around. So,
Well, that's how I do my interview, so it's going to work out perfect then.
all right. So, what were you saying? We were talking
I was
about.
saying you moved from the
I moved. Yeah.
West
Yeah.
Coast to the East Coast, and then
Yeah.
what prompted you to move?
Well, a bunch of things. I'm from Sacramento. I lived there my whole life until 5 years ago. I'm 60 now. So at 55, the taxes were kicking my ass. You know, I lived in this old historic part of downtown Sacramento. I had this beautiful Victorian mansion that I had for 30 something years. But the place just wasn't the same anymore. I started to feel a little unsafe because there was, a lot of problems in California. So I moved to Texas, and I wasn't, they didn't have state income tax. So that was one of the reasons. And, I'm not ashamed to admit it. Who doesn't want to save money? We all fucking want to save money. If you don't, you're lying. You're a fucking liar. Not you, but anyone says, "Oh, I don't want money." We don't want to save money.
I lived in New York my entire life. I know about taxes, so that's
proper. Yeah. So what happened was I found this really cool old house in Texas, in West Texas, in Abilene, and it was like I thought it was $2.5 million, but it was $250,000. Well, I didn't realize why it was $250,000. So when we got there, me and my wife, we don't have children. We have Jack Russells, and a rattlesnake killed one of my dogs. So I didn't realize it came with its own private rattlesnake farm. And so that was the end of Texas. So then I spent 3 years looking for the right place to go. I needed a certain kind of house because I only like old houses. Every house I've had is been over 100 years old, except for one now, which I got a place in Florida for the winter time. But we'll get to that. It's kind of a long story, but you can edit it down and do it. So, I was on tour in Europe, and I was taking a break at my place in Italy with my lawyer friend, and we were in the pool, and I see this house pop up that was like this amazing, beautiful brick house from 1840, and it was Senator John Dulles' mansion in Auburn, New York, and it was like 500 grand, right? And the thing was like 12,000 square feet, and it was a turnkey. The only thing that needs to be done is redo the main kitchen. So I said, okay, well, the house fits the criteria. First question: do you have rattlesnakes there? No. Do you have tornadoes there? No. Do you have crazy hailstorms? No. Is it green? Yes. Is there state income tax? Yes. Okay, I'll bite the bullet. You pay what you get for it, right? You don't want, want state income tax. You're going to go to the desert or places where it's not so pretty. And I get it, And me being a California guy, Northern California guy, I'm used to green grass. So that's what brought me to Auburn, was the house. And I didn't want, a super small town, because the place in Texas was 1,000 people. So I went from 1 million people to 1,000 people. So Auburn's like 35,000. It's got everything that you would want or need. And, if you want to go to a bigger city, you go to Syracuse, or you go to Rochester, you go to Buffalo. So that's what brought me up here.
Yeah.
And now I just got a place in Florida because after being here for 3 years, I can't do the winter. It's too fucking cold for BW.
Yeah, the winters are pretty rough out here. Yeah, especially
well, I'm used to 270 days a year sunshine in California, and above 70 degrees.
Yeah.
So we just got a place in Florida for the winters.
Yeah, I remember when you moved. I remember when you moved. It was when you moved to Auburn. It was a pretty big deal. I remember reading an article about you moving there, buying the house.
Well, they kind of tricked me, man. They didn't tell me they were going to do that. because I didn't want people knowing, how much I paid for my house, where it was at, and pictures inside and everything. And the people sold me the fucking house. They did it. They did the dirty on it.
I was always wondering why you'd want that publicized. It is a
I
very
didn't want it published.
yeah,
Yeah,
it is a very beautiful house. It's
yeah.
amazing. I mean, from
That's
seeing
not
pictures.
that is not my style. If I was talking to you and we were chatting personally, I said, "Oh, come to the house," I would, but they put it out on the internet, and I wasn't happy about it. Let's just put it that way.
Well, it is a very beautiful house. I want to talk to you about the recent couple singles that Tesla has put out.
And I'll try to answer that, but I didn't write those two, so I can only tell you that Jeff and Frank wrote those songs, top to bottom. But ask me what you want, and I'll try to answer it.
Yeah, well, I basically just wanted to ask you. It seems like Tesla, the band, is concentrating on putting out singles as opposed to maybe putting out a full length record, the traditional way of you've done it for many years. Is that because of the change of times where it's just?
Well, I think at this point in our career, we put a lot of time and effort into the last album, Shocked, with Phil Collen. It took 2 years of our life to make that record on it. And a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and arguments and, just things that you go through. And, it's funny because I really like the album, but half our fan base hate it. And half our fan base like it. So they weren't, we are always trying something new. And we did it. And I think Phil's a great producer, great songwriter, and we had a great time doing it. And I love him to death for doing it. And we tried it. It didn't work. But I don't know what working is these days. I mean, there's nothing left. I mean, what do we need to prove? We had 6 straight platinum albums back in the time. We're still sitting here today, 40 years later. We're going on our 37th year. We're still really proud of the fact that we played great live. So it's just, we just kind of sat down and said, look, if we feel like doing a song, let's go on and record it. Let's not put a bunch of pressure on us to go make another whole full-length album. And it's just, I don't want to say it's not worth the time, but it's not. So if we put out 3 or 4 singles a year, then, the fans are happy, the ones that want new music. A lot of our fan base don't even buy our new stuff. They just come and see us play live. So you've got like this one section of fans that are these hardcore diehards that have been there from first. You've got this other section of fans that are just know the hits, Signs and Susie and Love Song, stuff like that. And then you got this new breed of fans that are getting it from their parents. And so we just said, for now, and look, this could change next week. That's how we are. We're just going to concentrate on doing a couple of tracks. But having said that, we got a live album coming out next month, which is it's great, and it's got a brand new studio track, which is an Aerosmith cover. So we just kind of do whatever we want, and that's kind of the beauty of what we do is that however we feel at any particular time, then that's what we do. If we don't feel like writing new songs, we don't. If we do, we go in and we do them. As long as we're digging it, that's all that matters. And we seem to be on a very good groove right now in terms of the band. I mean, we've anytime you've been in a band for 37 years, there's a lot of ups and downs. So right now we're on a good place. On the waves, good. It's not up down. We're not down here. We're up here more. So we're on a crest. So that's it. I mean, really, there's nothing, no particular reason. Just we don't feel like going in and trying to write 12 songs, or if it's 12 songs, it winds up being 15 or 16 you're trying to work on. It just takes a lot of time, and we're getting older, and we're playing a lot.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're prioritizing. But it could change. Like I said, we got a record coming out next month. We got a brand new single that's going to come out towards the end of the year, which would be one of those big Tesla power ballads.
Awesome.
And these newer songs, these last two have kind of been like more raw and stripped down, and this new one will be more produced. So, it's always like, mechanical resonance, 5-man acoustic jam, psychotic supper, you know what I mean? We just whatever. We don't stick to one pigeonhole thing.
Yeah, I think that might be one of the reasons of your success also throughout your career. With you having such a deep catalog of so many great songs, you really don't even need to write new music. I mean, you could totally just like tour your catalog the rest of your career.
There's been that conversation as well. It's like, I mean, we put a lot of pressure on the band over the years to do stuff. And, I mean, it almost killed us in '95. That's why we broke up. Because it was just bang, 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 bang. I mean, look, dude, I mean,
there.
Wow.
That's the first 10 years.
That's incredible.
You know
Well
what I'm
deserved
saying?
too, by the way.
I'm in my office probably today. That's not my house. And that was a lot of pressure. And then, since then, I think, there was the live album, then there was Into the Now, and then there was the Reel to Reels, then there was Twisted Wires, there was Forevermore, there was Simplicity, there was Shock, and now, there's 9 more.
Yeah, and then your live record that you did at Abbey Road Studios too
Right,
in 2019. That
so,
was incredible.
So when you look at the output, that's like 10 records in 13 years or 20 years. That's every 2 years.
Yeah.
Every 2.4 years, whatever. So we certainly haven't been lazy.
No.
You know what I mean? So I think it's just, at this point, we're like, let's just take a breath and let's do a couple songs or an EP or a live album, video, whatever, residencies. Look, we're doing our first residency in our 36th year of being a band. So, I mean, there's always something. I mean, as long as we're out there doing something, and that to me is the main thing. That we're out there, Tesla's doing something.
Yeah.
Playing a video, I'm putting on a book, or, there's just always something.
Yeah, I feel like, and from my point of view, I feel like Tesla is almost more popular now than almost ever before. I mean, you're selling out everywhere. Like the casino show coming up, that's been sold out for a while now.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny because it's how you measure success. I mean, back the first 10 years we had platinum albums and we're playing in arenas, and the last 22 we've been playing, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people night, depending on what city, and selling our own records. And honestly, I mean, we've done better financially in the last 20 years than we did in the first 10. So, I don't know. Are we a household name? No, we'll never be. We'll always be like this cult. There's people know us, but I tell people, because are they work for the car company? Yeah, I'm the fucking president. To the car company, yeah, I'm Elon, So, but that's okay because when you look at like, the one thing Tesla never had was that one big huge album like Slipping When Wet or Hysteria or the Black Album or Back in Black. But if you said to me, you could have had one of those and then been done, or do what we're doing now and still be here 37 years, I think where we're at. So it's just how one measures success. But I do feel what you're saying. I do agree that there's a kind of buzz on the band. And maybe, we're going to be one of those classic rock bands. And I mean, we are. I mean, we're a classic rock band. I mean, people call us a hair band, and it pisses me off because it's condescending the way they say it. We're a band from the '80s. We're no more a hair band than Guns N' Roses were, or the Black Crowes. I think we're more like the Black Crowes than any. Where there's a lot of similarities. Two blues-based bands with great singers that wrote kind of real cool songs. So yeah, look, who knows? People sit around. I don't care as long as they come. If they come and they still want to see us play, and we're still able to present a show. It's funny. We were hanging out with Sebastian Bach in Vegas, who we kind of hooked up, and we realized that we have a lot in common. Like me and him loved Black Vinyl, and he came to see us play the first night we played. And he came backstage. He said, "Man, are you guys rolling tape? You sound amazing." And, fuck no, we ain't rolling tape, bro. And I said, that's what we do. And then the last night of the Vegas thing, he got up and sang "Sign" with us. So he had our in-ears in and did sound check. He's like, "Fuck, you guys really are. You guys are the real deal. You play and sing. There ain't no shit on this." I'm like, "Yeah, bro, that's us." So that's what I'm really proud of. And I think, when Jeff can still sing at his age, the way he sings, I mean, that's an achievement.
Yeah, that whole rolling tape thing is such a controversy. I mean,
I don't care. It doesn't matter to me, but we don't do it. You know what I mean? And
well, it kind of must suck because you guys put out a legitimate rock show every time you go out there.
Okay. Listen, we're still like you said, we're selling out our shows. That's all that matters. I can't worry about what other people are doing. If certain bands are rolling tape or whatever. Hey, whatever they're doing, it's entertainment. You know what I mean? It's just something that I wouldn't do, and Jeff Keith and Frank Hannon wouldn't do. Look, I have another band called Soul Mode. It's a real kind of dark, heavy band. I'll be rolling tape with that band, absolutely, because the production's incredible on that record. There's no way I can present what that sounds like live, because it's like a Rob Zombie or Marilyn Manson kind of vibe. You know what I mean? That band. So it suits it. So I'm not anti-tape. I'm not knocking it. But, it'd be like the Rolling Stones. They're not rolling tape. Or Paul McCartney. So Tesla's more in that vein. Listen, I'm sure Rob Zombie rolls tape, and I love it. I think John 5 is incredible. And, I see them live. They sound amazing. John does 2 or 3 guitar parts. So, there's some stuff on the tape. I don't mind. That's the kind of music. It's cool.
I think
I'm not some fucking purist or anything. You know what I mean? I mean,
right.
I'm the one guy in Tesla that loves production. That's the one thing. Like me and Frank, we're kind of like on opposite ends. He likes to do things raw and more live. I like to produce things with Sgt. Pepper. And in the middle is where Tesla comes.
That's where the magic happens.
That push and pull, that compromise.
Yeah, but I think it's when you start like replacing lead vocals with tapes and lip syncing and things like that, I think that's
no. I'm not. No. At that point, like listen, if Jeff can't sing anymore, I'm done. There's no more Tesla. We're not going to get another singer and go out there and try to do that shit. That's just not what we're going to do. And we're not going to put his vocals on tape. And listen, I know where you're going, and I know, I don't care. The bands that do that, I love those bands. And, they're, some of those guys are friends of mine. You know what I mean? So I go see them. I enjoy the show. I don't care. I don't get caught up in it. And to be quite honest, I don't think the fans get that caught up in it. It's people that are critics or whatever, they get caught up in it. And, Eddie Trump gets caught up in, people rolling tape and shit. And, he's pretty vocal about it. And I love that he's a dear friend. But, listen, hey, man, whatever, to each his own. All I can tell you is about what Tesla does.
Yeah.
But I am proud that sound you hear is us, produced by the 5 of us. And I think Tesla are really, really good at is we can play acoustic,
Yeah.
and not a lot of people can do that. And I don't know why. It was a gift from God or whatever. It just we naturally took to it, right? But that's the one thing. I think if they ever, we ever get in that thing that everyone wants to get into, I won't even say that, it'd be because the acoustic thing was the one thing that was good, because we were kind of like, when we came out, people were kind of calling us a modern day Bad Companies, similar kind of band, I don't know, who knows?
Yeah, you mentioned the comparisons to the Black Crowes, and I never really thought of that until I read your book, and I read it in your book, and you're right on. I mean, you are
I
much.
would love to do a tour with the Black Crowes.
Oh,
Hear
well,
me,
yeah.
Rich? We'd love to tour with you guys. I think it would be great. I think the fans would love it. Because we're similar kind of bands.
Yeah.
We played a couple of shows. But, that's one band that if you said, who would you like to tour with? I would like to do a tour with the Black Crowes one day, and Aerosmith. We want to go to Aerosmith one time. That would be my dream tour.
Right. Yeah, that would be a great feel. Have all three bands play together.
Well, that would be fucking,
That would be a
they talk
stadium.
about like the stadium thing. They should put, Aerosmith, Black Crowes, Tesla, and Buck Cherry or somebody.
I like it.
That would be a fucking ripping ass stadium package.
Yeah. Now, speaking of the stadium tour, were you approached at all about playing the Motley Crue, Poison,
No,
Def Leppard?
look, it's funny because like there's a certain website out there that takes whatever you say, and I said I would have liked to have been on that tour. And that website says, Brian, we thought they should be on the tour, not Joe and Jeff. I didn't fucking say that. I just said I would have liked to have been on that tour. Because on paper, Def Leppard, Motley, Poison, Tesla, right? Joe and Jet was from a different kind of an era, but I get why they did it, but no, we weren't approached. I don't think we were even thought of. It's just, for whatever reason. I mean, and the other thing is we did 3 tours with Def Leppard in a row, and I think that had something to do with us not being on there. But, of course I would have loved to have been on it too.
Yeah.
But I wasn't begrudging Joan. I mean, I love Joan. We toured with her. She was great.
Yeah, but I think anyone who follows that type of music agrees with you. And I mean, I agree. When they announced Joan Jenner, what about Tesla? What about Rat? There's tons of other bands.
Yeah. I mean, Rat. Yeah, of course. I mean, Rat was before we were. You know what I mean? So, but Poison and us. I think we were before Poison. I'm not sure.
It was close. It was about.
Yeah.
I think you guys were maybe a little before Poison.
Yeah, I think just a tad Cowboy,
Yeah.
but listen, I would have loved to have done it, and Joe Elliott, Def Leppard, Phil Collen, like my brothers. I love Motley Crue. I talk to Brett all the time. We're all friends. It would have been really cool, but it didn't happen, and there was no sour grapes on my behalf. I just said, yeah, I would have loved to have done that tour. But I like the idea of Aerosmith, Black Crowes, Tesla, and Buck Cherry. I think that, hey, Live Nation, there's a package for you.
I want to go back to the Shock record and talk about that. I, for one, thought it was a really good record, and I know that you were very, very involved with it as a co-producer with Phil Collen.
I engineered a lot of it, yeah, and me and Phil worked really hard on it. So yeah, I was involved. Yeah.
Do you think? I mean, do you think it seems like the criticism that I hear from it is it sounds too much like a Def Leppard record. Do you agree with that?
Hindsight being 2020, yes, certain parts of it. I think the background vocals especially, but it's because Phil sang with us. vocals, and the way that he produced vocals lent to sound like Def Leppard. There's a song on that album called "We Can Rule the World," which is kind of a beautiful piano ballad that me and Phil wrote. And I think if that song would have had Tesla's background treatment, like "Love Song" or "What You Get" or whatever, it would have been a different song, right? So, yeah, I mean that part of it, yeah, I get it. But hey, I'm not. Hey, we did it. We tried it. You know what I mean? And you can. That's a record is just a statement of time where you're at, and that's where we were at, and that's what we did. And Bill, stepped up to the plate and invested a lot of time and energy and everything, and God bless him. I love him for it. And he went 150% into that thing. And, but yeah, there's times when it sounds like Def Leppard before.
Are you good?
But I mean, we've all it. I mean, Song and Emotion sounds like Def Leppard. So, that's what I said. What's new? Easy Come, Easy Go sound like Def Leppard. That was us doing High and Dry. So Def Leppard have always been a big influence on Tesla's melodic rock sound. We grew up on Def Leppard, so I didn't see it as a bad thing. It's just some of our fans really got bitchy about it.
Yeah. Well, you shouldn't listen to them. You should listen to me. I think it was a great record.
I'm that 50% that really like that.
Yeah.
I'm proud of it, and I thought we proved to ourselves and to anyone else that we could make a record like that if we wanted. We did.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to. Now we don't want to do one like that. We're doing, more raw. And it's always like a yin and a yang. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really is. It really is for Tesla.
We
Yeah.
have the biggest hit of our career, which is Signs, and then we immediately come out with Edison's Medicine, which is the heaviest song of our career. You know what I mean? So it's never like the same thing. It's like, no, curveball, slider, changeup, fastball, knuckleball. You know what I mean? We're not throwing the same pitch. And maybe that's what contributes to the longevity of the band.
Yeah. I want to talk about some of the recent lineup changes. Troy isn't in the band anymore, or not touring anymore. Is he still in the band?
He's not touring. There'll be an official statement though. Varies. We're just not there yet. But no, he's kind of doing his own thing, and we're kind of doing our own thing, and we're working out all that stuff. That listen, I love Troy Luccketta, my brother. We all love Troy. It just came to a point where we just weren't on the same page anymore as to what we wanted to do. It's not like we had this big, massive fight or anything. Just you start out like this, and then sometimes you go like this. And that gap just got too wide. And he said, look, maybe it's better if I don't do this. And we said, okay, then okay, maybe it is. I mean, he's out, I think, playing with the Guess Who or something, but it's not the Guess Who, is it? It's
the Guess Who with no original members when Troy is playing, because the only original member is the drummer. So when Troy plays with the Guess Who, there's no original members.
So, okay. Yeah. I mean, I love Randy Bachman. And
he's not there.
Yeah, I mean, that's fucking, Tesla was like the Guess Who a lot of times too. We did Hand-Me-Down World on Reels, maybe. So, he's out playing. So, it's not like he retired. He's still out playing. He's not playing in Tesla. And who knows? Maybe one day there'll be some reunion tour at the very last end of the last final lap. I said this a couple months ago. I'm the guy in the band. Who knows? I mean, I haven't even really talked to the other guys, but me and Tommy Skew are friends again after 17 years, and I'm really proud of you know, what he's doing, how he's got himself together and put together a band and writing great songs that he's capable of writing. And you know, I'm real happy that me and him are reconnected. And, you know, I'm that guy that when there's one final lap around the track, I'd like everyone to be there. And saying that, I'm not saying without Dave Ruth. I'm
Right.
saying Tommy, Dave, and Frank. Three
Yeah.
guitar players, like Iron Maiden.
Right.
You know, because there's so many guitar textures that you could do it. And you know, I mean, just imagine how the fans would love that, you know, but that's not now. And who knows, things always can change and whatever, but that's me, you know, looking at the like, you know, Richard Petty's farewell tour, Reggie Jackson's farewell, you know, tour, you know, that when we do that, I would like to have, you know, everyone back together.
That's awesome. I'm sure the fans would absolutely love that, but let's hope that's not for a long time because I think
Well,
Tesla
you know,
has so much more to prove.
I mean, I'm a realist, okay? And I'm very practical. I'm 60. Jeff's 64, right? You know, how many more years can we go on? I mean, you know, as long as Jeff is healthy and can sing, and we can play to the ability that we are, and that people expect us to play, we can go on. But there will be a day when we say, look, you know, it's time to go. Good night. You know, this is the last song. And, you know, I wanted, you know, as I sit here today, I would want everyone involved to do that and really go out without any animosity or bitching and bitterness and all this stuff and just say, look, you know, this is the history, the legacy of this band. There you go. One time. I mean, remember when the Temptations got back together? And I mean, I don't know if you know, David Ruffin, Eddie Kendricks, and the other singer that did Cloud Nine and all of them got together. Everyone that was ever in a Temptation, they did this reunion. It was beautiful. You know, it didn't work out. It lasted like 2 months. And you know, so who knows? It's all, you know, it's a dream right now or a fantasy or whatever you want to call it. But the whole thing's been a dream and fantasy. You know, made a lot of it come to reality. So, you know, when I look and forecast down there, I like to see that out.
Yeah.
So, in answer to your question, Troy is not playing in Tesla. Will he ever come back? Who knows? You know, we'll see. You know, maybe one day there will be. You know, but right now we're sorting out all the shit that you got to sort out. But there's no bad blood. You know what I mean? You know, that's a drag about like with me and Tommy. A lot of the bad blood or whatever was created by people who were doing interviews who tried to pit me and him against each other. But once me and him saw each other and we just looked at each other, first time in 17 years, it all melted away. And just like, you know, look, you know, we love each other. We did a lot of great fucking work together.
Yeah. It seems like Tommy's in a pretty good place also.
Yeah,
as far as mentally goes, and
yeah, no, he's doing good. I'm one of his biggest fans, and that's funny for me to say, right? Because 2 years ago they said fuck him, and he said fuck him, and you know, today it's like, hey man, I love you, bro. How you doing? You know, so you just don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, Brian, I really appreciate your time, but before we leave, I do want to ask you about are you ever going to do another book? I mean, I remember. Yes. Okay. So have you?
But it's not going to be the same kind of book. Like that book was kind of like the story of my life, not Tesla, but my life. And Tesla's a big part of my life, so there's a lot of Tesla in it. And, you know, I talked about my health issues and my upbringing and my psychology, everything, right? And it was really therapeutic for me to do. So, yes, am I going to do another book? Yes, but it's going to be like a fictional story of a small town in upstate New York and the people. And then, so imagine a David Lynch and Quentin Tarantino screenplay.
Wow.
That's kind of what the book's going to be like.
That is really cool. Have you started any of it?
Uh, um, it's all in my head, and really I just got to draft it out, and, but it's gonna read like a fiction book, it's gonna be you could adapt it to a fucking David Lynch book.
Wow.
It's gonna be like a dark comedy,
Mhm.
and I've never tried to write anything like that, but fuck, I never tried to write a book before either. But
Yeah.
why not? I never tried to be in a band. I never, I never tried to paint. I just do things. I just follow wherever my heart goes, in my mind. Oh, I've got an idea, and let me try that. And listen, who'd have thought when I was 14 years old, I would have met Frank Hannon and we would have started this band, and we'd be here 42 years later. A lot of people said you should get a job. You quit fucking around. And I said, you wait, you'll see.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, that's great, Brian. Thank you very much. Looking forward to seeing you on Saturday, April 15th in Niagara Falls, New York. I'm sorry for everyone watching this. The concert sold out. So if you don't have tickets, I don't think you're going,
No,
but
I think there's still some tickets left.
there are. Okay.
There's
All right.
a few, but it's pretty close. So get out there and get them.
Yeah,
There's a few.
absolutely.
Maybe a couple 300 or something. I mean, I think it holds 2,500.
Yeah, it's a pretty big venue. A great place to see a concert. Casino, you could go to Niagara Falls beforehand and check out one of the best bands in the world in the evening. It doesn't get any better than that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, Brian. Thank you very much.
Cheers, man.
See
Yeah.
Bye-bye.